you know what's expected, I know what's expected, I can deliver, man. I can deliver, and then you can deliver, and everybody's happy. Look at that, we had a project, we did it together. This is why I'm more comfortable in my courtroom than I am in my living room. I know the goals in a courtroom. I know what's expected of me. Like in my living room, I'm not quite sure what's expected of me. Like I'm not quite sure what I'm supposed to be doing. I know the world's telling me I'm supposed to relax and that I shouldn't be working quite so much, but I'm really happy when I'm working. So could maybe the world just shut the fuck up and let me get back to work? Like, I don't know. But I really think in the relationships I've seen that are successful, people are honest with themselves about what they want. Like the husband in one of those relationships, he's one of my dearest friends. They've been married 30 years now. And he said to me, yeah, I told her when we were getting married, I wanted clean kitchen counters and a lot of sex.
So Jim, if you had to diagnose the modern marriage, what would the pathology be? We're addicted to novelty or narcissism or fear of loneliness?
You know, I have so many theories that are all kind of competing in my head for what marriage is motivated by, like what love really is motivated by, what pair bonding is motivated by. I mean, I think in some ways it's an economy based on resource scarcity. It's an economy based on our frailty as human beings and our insecurity and our desire to have someone who makes us feel differently about ourselves. I mean, I'm increasingly of the mind that what we mean when we say we love someone is that we prefer the senseless pain that we inflict on each other to the senseless pain we would feel if we were alone. Like it's just sort of a choice of what pain do you want to live with. And I think, you know, there's a pain in being alone. There's a sense of having no one affirming you. There's a sense of like not, you know, knowing that you're lovable, you know. And I think marriage is from a very human standpoint. Like we want, I'm not sure if what we love more when we meet a new romantic partner is that person or the way that person makes us feel about ourselves, right? Mm-hmm. Like, because anybody who's ever been in like a passionate romantic relationship, especially in the early days, there's that feeling of like you look different to yourself. You look in the mirror and you see yourself through the eyes of this person, and there's something that makes you like, oh yeah, like I'm not just interested, I'm interesting, you know? And I think marriage, look, no one's a hero to their butler. I think if you live with someone, you get to know someone long enough, you're gonna eventually kind of have heard all their stories, you've heard all their jokes, you've heard them sort of make the same witticisms and eventually, yeah, the novelty of that wears off. I'm not sure why that is, because I think that we don't actually have that in all of our relationships. I've said before, like I have elderly dogs, and I've never looked at my elderly dogs and thought like, oh, like I gotta get a puppy. These dogs are the fucking same all the time. Like I love them more and more. You know, there's so many things in my life I love more and more. But like your spouse, your car, you know, it's all exciting when you first get it. And then there's this feeling like eventually, yeah, it's just your car. Like you're just used to it. You know, it's lost its new car smell, or it's like you're not quite, it just gets you to point A to point B. So I think some of it is that we are drawn to what it makes us feel about ourselves. And then we're disillusioned when we stop feeling that way about ourselves, partly because they stop feeling that way about us. They're not as fascinated by us. And I get it. I mean, I don't think we'd get anything done as a society if we had that like intense early days feeling forever about our partners, where like if they brush up against you, you're like, oh my God, I felt that in my toes. You know, like you never get shit done. Like you'd never do laundry. You know, you end up having sex on the washing machine. So I think that's a piece. I think we just don't really value marriage anymore. We don't tell it as like a story to be proud of anymore. And maybe because it isn't. I mean, you know, it fails over 50% of the time in terms of catastrophically fails in divorce. Then what? Another 20% people are pretty miserable but stay together because, you know, they don't want to upset the kids or religious reasons. They don't want to give away half their shit. So now we got something fails like 70% of the time. I don't know that we should aspire to it. Like my dream is to engage in something that fails 70% of the time. Sounds like a really stupid thing to say. So I think it starts to turn into this question of, okay, like, what is the problem we think marriage is going to solve? And I think it's the basic problem of human loneliness. And also, it's just a sense of validation. I mean, I think the performative society we're in now with Instagram and stuff, like I have never seen so much wedding-related content. Like, I am genuinely of the mind that there are a large number of women out there in their 20s and 30s that want to get married so they can have Instagram content. So they can show the ring and the engagement video, and then we're picking the cake, and then we're doing this. And again, what does it then seamlessly lead to? Okay, now the wedding content and the bachelorette party content. Oh, and now the honeymoon content. And now we're having a baby content. And it's just become sort of everyone's life has now become like a 1990s TV drama. That it was like, okay, we've got to come up with character arcs, and we've got to have the will they, won't they, and then we've got to have the meet cute, and we got to have they get together, and then we got to have the conflict. Like, we're really starting to look at our lives like performance art, And part of the arc of that, by the way, is the conflict of divorce. I mean, I'm right in the heart of the most dramatic part of it all the time, which for me, I think it's where I've made my home for over 2 decades. But I think I have a unique view of it because of that. I've just seen how catastrophically this can fail and how consistently it catastrophically fails. And yet, we just keep anting up on the table every single time. So.
Soft White Underbelly is about giving people a space to tell their stories, even when these stories challenge what we think we know. Ground News shows us different perspectives in the media, which is why Ground News is a perfect sponsor for my channel. In a world where algorithms censor much of the information we receive, some of the most important stories get missed from our news feeds. Ground News highlights local news from around the world, giving you an on-the-ground perspective that national coverage might miss. The app and website empowers you to form your own opinions by presenting you with every article published on any news story worldwide. My favorite part of the app is the data it gives you on each news source as you read it, such as where it leans on the political spectrum, a factuality rating indicating how subjective their printed reporting tends to be, and who funds it. I particularly like their blind spot feed, dedicated to showing you news stories that are underrepresented in the mainstream media. You can check this all out by scanning the QR code on screen or clicking the link below. It's easy to forget how much bias can shape the reality we live in. And in a world where our attention is constantly being fought over, my Vantage Plan easily helps me keep up with more important stories slipping through the cracks. So I encourage you to check them out at ground.news/SWU. Subscribe through my link or download the mobile app and enter promo code SWU to save 40% off their Vantage Plan. And by subscribing or even gifting it to someone you know, you're helping hold the media accountable and helping my channel directly. Thank you for watching.
All right, let me ask you a question back to relationships.
Yeah.
We were talking off camera before we started about the transactional nature of relationships becoming more and more common now.
Yeah. Yeah, well, I think the most common thing people say to me when they say, I really like your work, is they say, you're real. You're real, you're honest, you're real. And I think that is 2 things. One, I think what I'm talking about is what I've observed sitting in front of me. It's not like my theory or my research that I've done. This is me talking to men and women on both sides of every single issue for 25 years in the most intense way, and in a way that's protected by attorney-client privilege, so they have no incentive to lie. And the other thing is, I think we have become, as I said earlier, very performative as a society. And so when the machine breaks, we're very slow to admit that the machine is broken, But I also think there is something very refreshing in that environment about pragmatism, about being blunt, about saying look, let's just call this fucking thing what it is, And I have always said love is an economy. Love is an economy. And I think there are people that think that that's an unromantic way of looking at it, which I disagree with, or that it's a profane way of looking at it, which I think is also false. What is an economy but trading value, And trading value has always been okay, how many coconuts is how many bananas? Because if it was, well, how many coconuts for how many coconuts, it's not a fucking economy. One coconut's one coconut. We don't have anything to trade with each other. So if women are aspiring to become the man they wanted to be with, great, there's nothing to fucking talk to each other about then. You don't need, if you girl bossed right into the sun and now you pay your own bills and you're incredibly successful and you don't need no man because you're a strong, independent woman, great. Why are we even talking then? There's nothing to say. That's great. You've become the man you wanted. Knock yourself the fuck out. I have not become the woman I want. Like, I don't have the capability to do that. Because what I want in that economy is different. Like, I don't need someone to provide and protect. Like, I don't need that. I need a soft place to lay my head. I want someone who will remind me to rest. I want someone who will, interest me and intrigue me, I think I want the things that a lot of heterosexual men want. And I think it's an incredibly disservice to say to people that what we are at our core, at best, are economic units. Like, I don't think, like, if I contribute to the relationship, I will pay all of the bills. And you contribute to the relationship, I will love and support you and be a wonderful emotional and sexual partner to you. I'm fucking making out like a bandit in that deal over here, as far as I'm concerned. Like, that's incredible. Like, that's an incredible amount of things that you're giving to me, and I can't buy them in a shop. So that's amazing. Like, that's not, and again, like, look at real partnerships in the economy, right? Steve Jobs, Steve Wozniak. Steve Jobs, without Steve Wozniak, was a guy who had a lot of ideas and isn't an engineer and had no idea how to make any of them happen. What's Steve Wozniak without Steve Jobs? An engineer who can make stuff but has no vision. Together, they've changed the world, right? They created the handheld digital device, essentially, that has changed everything about our society. Which of them gave more value to that relationship? I don't think you can say either. I think you can just simply say it wouldn't have existed without the two of them. And there was a time where that wasn't a dirty word. Like, there was a time where, and I grew up in a house like that. I had a father who worked, and I had a mother who worked inside the home. She took care of the house, she took care of the kids, she took care of the dogs, she took care of meals, she took care of shopping. And it was presented to me as, yeah, these are two incredibly important people who are doing incredibly important jobs, and no one's job is more important than the other. And what we've created now is a world where we're telling women constantly, like, well, don't be an idiot. You have to get your money. You got to get out there and get money because money's the most important thing. And we're telling men, look at these bitches. They're just here for the money. So you know what? Just buy and sell them and trade them all you need to, and trade them in for younger models when you can. And I have to tell you, like, we are heading into a brick wall if that's what we're going to do. Because, okay, so if what I'm buying is not love, it's sex, then legalize sex work. Legalize sex work, and we'll be able to just buy women's sexuality. No problem. Like, I don't know a lot of women that'll be like, well, I'm going to buy a gigolo. No, you won't. No, you won't. Like, you won't. That's just not going to be what's important in the economy for you. Maybe you'll hire a guy who'll, like, sit around and talk to you about your disagreement you had with your cousin and what Karen's doing at work and how it annoys you. I could imagine that. I could imagine that there'd be a number of women that would be like the women who are sliding into my DMs are not sliding into my DMs because they're like, you know what I want? I want like a medium-sized white boy with a pointy nose who's in his like mid-50s. No, I have an emotional vocabulary. I have interesting things to say, and I find the things other people have to say interesting. That's what women find intriguing. Like, that's what they're interested in. That's great. That says something amazing about women. By the way, I think that's something to aspire to. The fact that, like, they find that incredibly fascinating and compelling, and I find boobs fascinating and compelling. Like, what? Why? Like, why? Like, this is basic and primal or Freudian. I have no idea what that is. Like, this makes sense. It makes sense that you'd want someone interesting and who's a good conversationalist and has an emotional vocabulary and might help you navigate the stuff you have to work on, and you could help them work on their stuff. Like, there's so much more sense to that. Whereas this is like, what is it? I don't know. I just like them. They like bounce. It's fun. Like, I don't know. Like, so I think there's tremendous value in saying, okay, wait a minute. We're bringing different things to this transaction, but they have tremendous value. But we got to be a lot more honest about what we're bringing to the transaction. Because the idea that, like, you know, building an incredibly successful business and being hot are equivalent, and they are from the economic standpoint of a marriage, they're equivalent. But one of them is either A, you won the genetic lottery, or B, you've starved or exercised yourself in the right ways and you've got the right makeup on. And the other one is either you were born into tremendous wealth, or more likely that you were out there working and built something. So I just think if we keep on this trajectory, people are going to start saying out loud, hey, look, I want this, but I could just buy that. And if I can just buy it, like, it's the same reason why people don't buy cars anymore. They lease cars. Because their attitude is, I'm going to be sick of this car in 3 years. Why the fuck would I buy it? Like, I'm going to drive it, put some miles on it, enjoy it, get rid of it, and get a new one that has new features. Well, guess what, gang? Like the model of relationships that includes that is what's now starting to, I think, come into vogue, you know? And I don't know that that's a society that we've ever had before, where there's that level of a transactional nature of romantic relationships. I don't know what it's going to say. I mean, the number of women that are saying that it's not their desire to have children is increasing exponentially. And again, I don't know if that was always how women felt, and now we've just given them the ability to say it, and now you're no longer like crazy, you're a girl boss, you know, or if it's that, you know, we've late capitalism has convinced people that the most important thing they can be is economic units. Like, I think the two-parent working family was not created for the betterment of men and women and children. It was created for economic reasons for our society. It was created so it would increase our GDP, period. So I don't know why anyone in the current political zeitgeist would trust the government so much to say like, oh yeah, they've structured the economic model of our society in such a way as to really improve our outcomes as a species. No, they haven't. They've structured it to maximize our output as cogs in the machine so that the number of billionaires goes up. Kind of covered a lot there, but
yeah,
you know,
great
these things are all interrelated, you know, they're all interrelated. And the problem for me is that I see love as love. I see love as like this emotional connection between two people. And I don't think love and marriage have a whole lot to do with each other. I see marriage as like a state institution that's dishonest in its motivations as to why you would enter into it, and then brutal on the way out. Like it's like divorce is so expensive. Like it's just, people cannot afford to get divorced anymore. Like it is. Is
divorce really unfair to the wealthier of the two partners?
I mean, most people get as much justice as they can afford. So if you have a good lawyer, you have an incredibly unfair advantage. Yeah. If you can hire apt counsel.
Well, I'm just saying in terms of like if you were the breadwinner, you were the provider for the family.
Yeah.
And then you get a divorce, it hits you really hard.
Yeah, well, because you're the person who is, the promises that you've made through the marriage are enforceable by the state. You know, look, if what you've contributed to this relationship is that you've given me love, affection, and sex, and what I've contributed to this relationship, I've paid all your bills. The state can continue to enforce your obligation to pay my bills, but the state cannot force you to have sex with me or be nice to me or show me compassion or empathy. Can't do it. So any contract where one side is enforceable and the other side is not enforceable, we call that a contract of adhesion. It's not a fair contract. There's no mutuality of consideration. So I think that's a piece of what people have realized about marriage, particularly men. I mean, I know a lot of young men that are just opting out of that now. They're just saying, yeah, I'm not getting married. Why would I get married? Why would I expose myself in that way? Why would I make that choice? And the response is to say, oh, they've been red-pilled or they've been black-pilled, and sort of dismiss what I think is it's rooted in a legitimate concern. Yeah, they're treating dandruff with decapitation maybe by saying, okay, well, fuck it, I'm not gonna ever get married. But maybe what we need to do is start having a serious conversation about what are the risks of getting married and what are the benefits of getting married? Because you don't have to get married anymore societally to have kids. You don't have to get married anymore to cohabitate with someone. Like these are no longer part of the, someone was talking the other day about dating. How like people don't, because Gen Z doesn't go out on dates. Now, part of that I think is that how the fuck could you afford to go out on a date now? Like I remember when I was in high school and college, like to take a girl out to a movie, you needed like $40 maybe to take her to like a reasonable dinner and a movie. You know, now a movie alone, $100, $150 by the time you buy popcorn. Like, so how does a young person do that anymore? But also it's just no longer a viable thing. And then people are like, oh, why do we feel so disconnected from potential romantic partners? Like, why don't men, I mean, this is the one that kills me, is I'm starting to hear from the women who work in my office and the women around me. They're like, well, why don't men approach women anymore? Like men don't even talk to women anymore. Are you seriously asking that question? Like after how many years of being told, leave women alone, don't talk to them, you're being disgusting when you even say hello to them, don't invade their space, don't talk to them at the gym, don't talk to them on the street, don't talk to them at a bar, don't talk to them when they're with their friends, definitely don't talk to them when they're alone. Okay, and now you're having the temerity to say, why aren't you approaching us? You told us not to approach you. Now we're not approaching you. Now we're wrong for that. Like pick a fucking lane, guys. Like this is not how it works. Like you gotta pick. If you want if you want us to approach you, you're gonna get approached sometimes by people who you don't want to be approached by. And oh my God, you might have to say, no, thank you, I'm not interested. Or you might have to sort of uncomfortably, get away from the person the way that any adult has to from someone who's trying to sell them something they don't want to buy. Like, welcome to being a grown-up. I'm sorry that you don't get to live in a bubble. But, or we will leave you alone. We won't approach you. We'll leave you alone. We'll only approach you on apps, which is where you want. But then you're not allowed to go, why do men always want to talk on apps and then they only want to text? Like, you don't get it both ways. It's not how it works. And women are the ones who are making these complaints. Men are not. Like, I don't think what men want has changed that much. Like, I don't think it's changed that much since the Stone Age. Like, I think we were like, oh yeah, like we'll go out, we'll kill the animal, we'll do the whole thing. Like, we just, we kind of like be nice and let us like rub up against you. That's good. We're cool. Like, maybe make some food. That's all good. Like, that's really all. That was before DoorDash. That was before food could get delivered. That was like when food, like I watch these videos on YouTube of like, here's how they made a pie in 1800. And you watch it and you're like, holy shit. Like, how easy it is to get a pie now? Whereas then, so having a wife back then made a lot of sense. Cause like doing the laundry and taking care of the kids and then washing the cloth diapers. Like, how much is really involved in that gig now? Seriously, like I'm not trying to, I know it's very unpopular if you say like, what the fuck do you do all day? But I do depositions sometimes of women and they're like, oh, I'm a stay-at-home mom. And I'm like, okay, so like, what do you do? They're like, well, I do laundry. I'm like, so like you darn the socks? Or you're like, no, I put it in the machine. Okay, so you do that every day? Well, no, every like couple of days. Okay, so when you like put it in, you press the button. That's what you mean? Yeah, okay. Like so what do you do with the other like 23 hours and, 40 minutes of the day? So I think, but again, we don't want people to feel small. So we praise them for things that probably aren't praiseworthy, right? Like we've really done this whole thing of like, there's no job in the world harder than being a mom. Really? 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 You ever met a hot tar roofer? Like, have you ever hung out with a landscaper? Like, I gotta tell you something, that's way fucking harder than being a mom in the suburbs. Like, that is incredibly harder than that. Like, I could name off the top of my head 50 jobs that are harder than being a mom in the suburbs or a dad in the suburbs. Like, I was a dad in the suburbs, and I have to tell you, easiest fucking job I've ever had in my life. I had to make sure that there was like enough snacks from Trader Joe's. I had to like yell at the kids every now and then. I had to go out and play with them, spend time with them, help them with their homework. This is not difficult. I was a waiter. That's a hard job. Being a dad was not a hard job. And like, again, I understand everybody wants to be told you're special, you're brilliant, you work very hard, you present value. But when you start to believe that to the point where you start to be like, that is the hardest job in the whole wide world, then you're just so gassed up on like the most dangerous thing is to believe your own bullshit. And I say that as someone who slings bullshit for a living in a courtroom, but I never make the mistake of believing it. I never make the mistake of believing like, oh, this is the objective truth.
You're still at heart a very romantic person.
Of course.
Even though you're navigating all these terrible divorces.
Yeah, look, I think fundamentally the most important feeling in the world that we can feel is love. I think the best of us as humans is our feeling of love. I think when I think of all of the moments in my life that make up the greatest moments of my life, they were all when I was feeling loved or feeling love for someone. Whether that was a woman, my dogs, my kids, I don't know, anything, an experience. Like love is everywhere. I mean, love is everything. I'm absolutely a romantic. My oldest son got married a couple of weeks ago. And I could not stop crying throughout the wedding. Like it was so moving to me. The most moving thing, it surprised me, my son and his wife, I trip on saying his wife now because she was his girlfriend for a long time and then she was his fiance and I just got used to saying fiance, now I have to say wife and it's so weird. Because like I taught him that the cow says moo, and now he's like a lawyer and he's 6'5" and he's got a wife. I'm like, when the fuck did that happen? But he's great, And I tell you, one of the most beautiful moments of my life was at that wedding because they wrote their own vows. And his wife is a lawyer and she's very, very bright, brilliant, autonomy agency, like very independent. but also very loving and kind and sweet, and loves him very much. And they were doing their own vows, and he'd give his vows, and they were very lovely. He's a good speaker. It doesn't skip a generation. And then she did hers, and she was like, like you're the best man I've ever met. You're so strong. You make me feel so safe. And I just remember, the tears were welling up in my eyes because I thought, oh, this is like a finish line in some ways. I wanted to make a man like that. I wanted to be part of making a man like that a woman that lovely would look at and go, oh yeah, that guy, like that guy. And as much as I know the risk that love is, and I looked at them at that wedding, and I don't look at people with any illusions. I looked at them and I thought, okay, there's an over 50% chance that this is going to end in heartbreak and chaos. But man, I hope it doesn't. It's lovely. Right now they love each other. And if right now they love each other, that's worthy of celebration. And it was just such a beautiful thing to see that, this little boy that was, again, conceived in love, born into love, loved by me and by his mother for 28 years, and now has found this person who loves him. And now she's, it's also a little surreal because, it's like your kid comes home and is like, oh, she's going to be in our family now. You're like, I'm sorry? She's who? This one? Yeah, she's going to be in our family now. I'm like, she's going to be in our family? She's going to be in our, okay. Because I've met her 5 times. You're sleeping with her. You guys have a biological connection that's happening. I haven't. So she's just kind of a person I've met a few times. The guy who cuts my hair, I've spent a lot of time with. He's not in our family. This one I've met 5 times. She's in our family now? That's kind of an odd sensation, But it's also really fascinating to see okay, that's the next thing. You'll get a laugh out of the fact that at the wedding, I was sitting next to my ex-wife, and we get along very well, we always have. And she's like a tough Irish broad, And I'm the one who's much more emotional than she is. And, my son's wife is doing the vows, and I'm getting teary-eyed. And she leans over, my ex-wife, and she goes, "You're such a fucking pussy." And it was great. I was like, yeah, that's why I divorced her. There it is. So, but yeah, it was great. It was I still believe in love. I still think that love, it's a silly question to even ask why, does someone believe in love? It's like saying, do you believe in gravity? Gravity exists whether I believe in it or not. Love is everywhere. It's all around us. It's the best thing. It's the nicest thing. I think that the love that we feel for each other and the love that we can find in each other, and romantic love in particular, is a beautiful thing. I'm very blessed. I've been in love a number of times in my life, and every single time it made me a better person. Every single time I'm glad it happened.
It's really the best thing in life.
It is the best thing in life. I don't think it could. What could possibly be second place? The second place is so distant, and so much of what we do is really to make ourselves attractive to the prospect of love, or to make ourselves feel worthy of love, And I think all of these guys that are well, I'm trying to make all this money, or I'm trying to drive all these cars. It's you're largely doing that for women. You're largely doing that because you want to find love. And that's okay. You can pretend that it's just for its own sake. But I think that it really is that you want to find connection with someone. Again, it doesn't have to be, monogamous connection with one person that lasts for eternity until you're old and gray, although there's a certain romance to that concept. But it certainly is to attract female attention. That's why all these guys, even in the red pill community, like Mike Sartain, brilliant guy, really, really smart, and has a lot to share with people. But a lot of what he does with Men of Action is, teaching people, teaching men, dating coach stuff, how to meet women, how to attract high value women, how to be a high value man for the purpose of attracting women.
It seems to me a lot of that kind of red pill talk, though, is how to trick or how to play games with women to get them to.
See, I would push back on that, because I think I think some of that gets the wrong. I was embraced after my first conversation with you by the red pill community, because a lot of what I had to say was saying things that a lot of men have thought and not said out loud, but saying in a way that wasn't like overtly misogynist to the point where women were like, fuck that guy. I think a lot of women watched it and were like, fair comment, you know? Because I also take the piss out of men equally. Like we're all flawed creatures trying to figure it out. But I don't know that it's about tricking as like, I don't know, is makeup tricking? Like, is makeup tricking? Is makeup lying?
Yeah, you could say.
Like, but see, I don't think it's lying. I think it's accentuating the positive and accentuating the negative. Like, I would never look at a woman with makeup on, which, by the way, I don't know if you watch some of these TikTok videos where it's like, here's the woman without it, and then boom, they're doing them now to that Sabrina Carpenter When Did You Get Hot song, and it's like regular woman, and then boom, she's got the makeup on, and you're like, hey, that's the same person? But I don't look at that and go, oh, they're liars. Like, I do think like shit, first date should definitely go to like a swimming pool, but like, cause you get an honest view of things then. But I have to tell you, like, I don't think it's lying. I think that trying to present to women what will be most appealing to them is no more lying than a woman putting makeup on and saying, okay, I'm going to present, like, I don't look at a woman who shows cleavage and go like, oh, she's trying to trick me. Like, no, she has something that she knows is going to be visually appealing to me. And if we're going out on a date and she wants to show, of course, I take that as a compliment. Of course, you want to show me. Just like if I picked a very nice restaurant, I'm trying to subtly show you, oh, I have money and I want you to know that I'm happy to spend it on you and I like to do exciting, interesting things. And if you're with me, you'll get to do exciting, interesting things. Like, how is that dishonest? Like, it's not a trick. It's not a trick. It's a trick if I actually like work in a parking garage and I don't have any money. Or it's a trick if you've like loaded your bra with like some fake things, and then I don't mean like cosmetic surgery, meaning like you have no actual boobs and you've just created the false impression that you do. Like I don't think it's about lying. I think it's about trying to figure out, look, we're like any other animal in the planet, man. Like, like we got birds that are like, okay, I'm gonna show my wings a certain way, or I'm gonna have these colors this time of year and that's gonna attract mates, or I'm gonna, make sure that my acorns go in this location, and then people's like, we're just animals, so we're doing our thing. I don't think there's something dishonest about it. I think that the game of how we meet people has changed and it requires a new rule set. And like all rule sets, someone's going to figure out first how to hack it. And they're going to start going to guys like, okay, here's what you need to start doing.
Well, that's what I'm kind of referring to is the trying to fake this, like you're not so interested. And you're going to take longer to return a text, or you're going to.
Yeah, but I think that that's a direct function of what women have created, because women have created that, well, he was too eager, he texted back so quickly. So it's like, okay, I'm not going to do that then. Like, and again, look, this is the problem. Like everyone is playing games. Like everyone is playing games. And unless we all stand down and we all go, okay, guys, let's fucking stop. This isn't working. Like this whole, like performative, dramatic thing we've made up where it's like, I'm going to pretend I don't want to fuck you, and you're going to pretend you don't care how much money I make, or like you're lying. You're lying. We all know you're lying. So fucking stop. Like, let's just call it what it is. Because look, if you want to just be like, okay, when we meet each other, I'll show you my bank statement. You show me your nudes, and we'll decide if this is going to work or not. Like, at least it's honest. I'm not saying that's how we should do things. Like, I'm a big believer in artifice. I'm a big believer in like the performative self. I think it would be a very weird world if a acceptable pickup line is, do you want to fuck or should I apologize? I think that's like a weird world to live in. But we don't have to go so far in the other direction that it's like that no one understands the rules. Like, I don't think anyone understands the rules anymore. Like, I tell you how many divorce clients I have that call me and are like, I can't believe I'm single again. This is fucking horrible. Like, it was never like this when I was single before. What is this? How do you navigate this environment as a newly single person if you're in your 40s and you were married, or your 50s and you were married, or even your 30s? Like, if you weren't in that dating ecosystem, the app ecosystem, the texting ecosystem.
How much does class and race and culture play out in these divorces?
Class is almost everything. I mean, I hate to sound Marxist, but there is no war but the class war. Like, I think economics is everything. Like, we're in late capitalism. Like, this is about money. Like, everything's about rich and poor right now. Like, you can say race, you can say gender. You know, the person who's part of a traditionally disenfranchised group and has money is way better off than the person who is of, you know, white, heterosexual, cisgender male and broke. Like wealth is everything. And I say that because I represent the ultra wealthy and I see how unfair of an advantage they have. Like, they have an incredibly unfair advantage. I have clients who are worth billions with a B and pay less taxes than, you know, the guy who mows my lawn. Like, it's amazing. It's amazing the disparity that wealth creates. I mean, is there still race stuff out there? Of course, there'll always be race stuff out there. We're a xenophobic species. Some of that's hardwired. Some of it is cultural. Some of it is institutional. You know, will we always have gender stuff? Yeah, we have different biologies. We have different hormones. We have different, you know, historical, you know, inequalities that we're still trying to transcend. We have our biology. Only one of us can get pregnant. You know, only one of us can lactate. So these are all things that, you know, that all impact the equality of the scales, but nothing more so than money. Like, there's so many things you can buy your way out of. It's shocking to me. I watch my ultra wealthy clients, and the things they can buy their way out of is insane. It's absolutely insane. Like, there are so many problems that can be solved by money. You know, some of the core problems can't be, but even those can be improved. Like, if you have cancer, you can't buy not having cancer, but holy shit, can you buy amazing treatment? Can you get immediately in with the doctor? Can you immediately get the best possible treatments? Can you not have to worry about what the copay is going to be? Like, you have so many advantages economically, like, and that's everything. So I think a lot of this there is not much of a war, but the class war. But again, it's not in anyone's, certainly not in the government or mainstream media's interest to tell us that. It's better to tell us that the problem is who's using what restroom, or the problem is, you know, like, they would rather have us fighting culture wars with each other than all getting together and going, hey, you know what? Like, we should all have, like, basic affordable fucking healthcare. And then if you want to buy something special or fancy and you want concierge medical, then you pay a little more for it. It's just like modern air travel. Like, anytime I talk to anybody about economic issues in the world, they're always like, oh, you want to live in like a socialized society where everybody's got the same? I'm like, who the fuck suggested that? Like, you're flying an airplane? Okay, there's economy, then there's business class, and then there's first class. And here's what I'll tell you. I haven't flown economy in a long time. First class, fucking amazing. Economy, from what I can tell, is steerage now. It sucks. I'm willing to say, as a guy who only flies first class, you could make first class a little less nice. I'd be okay with it. Like, I'd be okay with it. And if that would then make economy a little bit better for the majority of the people on the plane who are all in economy, I'm cool with that. I'm cool with that. I have to tell you, like, I think that's where we've got to figure this thing out, is we've created this false dichotomy where it's like, we either have capitalism and it's like winner takes all, or, you know, it's socialism and everyone gets the same and it's all crappy and gray. I think that's an absolute false choice that's been thrown down our throats by politicians, because the people who created the problems are not the people who are going to solve the problems.
Are there recurring archetypes or personalities that you see in failed marriages?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah, I mean, I would venture to say I probably only see like 10 permutations of people. Like, you know, there are people with an incredibly defined sense of self. There are people that have no real sense of self and have abdicated that entirely to their family. Like, who are you? I'm a husband. Who are you? I'm a wife. Who are you? I'm a mother. Who are you? I'm a father. And very often those people marry each other. Like, the person who has a defined sense of self marries a person who doesn't. And then that person's like, you know, who are you? I'm Bob. Who are you? I'm Bob's wife. You know, and that's maybe a good match, but it creates second order challenges, you know? And I mean, I see a lot, like, for every masochist, there's a sadist, you know? For every meek person, there's someone bold. For every decisive person, there's someone indecisive. Like, and at best, people find polarity, but they find polarity that doesn't become like what I would call like metastatic polarity. Like, they have polarity where it's like, okay, I'm very decisive. Like, I'm very decisive. I'm very problem solving. I'm very impatient. So like I think fast, I move fast, I talk fast, and I'm very decisive, and I'm very into problem solving. So I have always done well with women who like someone who is decisive and who is, dominant in that way. But I have always taken very seriously the idea that because of that, I also have the responsibility of figuring out what my partner wants. And so, yes, I'll pick the restaurant, but I want to pick the restaurant that she's going to enjoy. That's what I want to do. I want to pick, then that I'll enjoy as well. But if my job is to sort of okay, I want her to have a good experience, because then I'm going to have a good experience too, because her pleasure is going to please me. Okay, so I want to be decisive and I want to decide, but I want to pick something that even better, that she doesn't know she's going to like. And then we're going to get there and she's going to go, oh my God, I didn't realize how great this is going to be. And then I'm a fucking genius. That's a polarity that works, that polarity. The problem is, and I've had it even in my own life and relationships, where you find someone who's attracted to your decisiveness because they're just completely indecisive and have choice paralysis all the time. And then it's okay, I didn't want to date a toddler. But I also don't want another me. Could you imagine me dating me? I'd never get a fucking word in edgewise. It'd be hell. And it would just, two of me wouldn't work, you have to find some polarity. So I think the things that attract us to people, the archetypes of our personalities, the dominant, the submissive, the communicative, the closed up, the empathetic, the introspective, all of those archetypes, all those personality traits, they all, have tremendous representation in the world. The problem is finding an attractive polarity that doesn't become a metastatic polarity. And with time, people start to resent each other for the things that originally attracted them to people. So I liked the fact that this guy was so fly by the seat of his pants. And he was always I know a lot of women who are very thoughtful and very methodical and very OCD and very no, I'm in very my own routine. And they date guys who are come on, let's just go. We'll go do this. It'll be fun. No, we don't have to have a plan. Let's just go. And they love that when they're dating them. But then you marry that fucking guy and you're okay, now it's time to we're going to have kids or we're going to have a marriage. We have to plan some things. And the dude's no, we're going to keep doing that. You're okay, this isn't cute anymore. This isn't cute anymore. This isn't fun anymore. Building a life with that person, it made him a good boyfriend, does not make him a good husband. Doesn't make him a good father. So you have to think about what is the nature of the relationship what's the position you're hiring for? If you're hiring for a lover, much easier position to fill. Are they hot? Are they good in bed? Great. Do you enjoy talking to them? Sure. Okay, that's nice too. There we go. If you're hiring for a co-parent, you gotta find someone who has a complementary skill set. They have similar ethics as you. They have similar morals. They have similar ways of approaching the task of parenting. But again, we don't do that. We just meet someone that we're I would like to have sex with that person, I think. And then we kind of start down this path that everyone goes, okay, but it's leading to marriage because that's what it's supposed to lead to. Why? Because it's one of the most unsuccessful technologies in the history of humanity. But of course you need to do it. Oh, okay. And then we just keep going. And then we turn to, we got married. What do you do now? Well, you got to have kids. You got to buy a house. By the way, did nobody see that this is all just economic? Nobody sees that get married. What do you have to do? Get her a rock. Why? Because that's what you do. Every step of the way, there's something you got to fucking buy. Every step of the way, there's something you got to buy until you buy the big purchase, which is the divorce. Anybody who says money can't buy you love, they just don't know the check comes at the end. At the end is when you tally up the bill and what you paid for the whole damn thing. So.
Have you ever met a couple who shook your beliefs about marriage and divorce?
No. No, I've met a couple of people that really lucked out and did a great job of it. I think it's a combination of both. I have two couples. It's still the same two couples that I've talked about in the past. I have two couples that I look at and I go, yep, they chose wisely and they're really enjoying it and they're really happy and they've built amazing lives together.
What is the secret to that? Is it adapting?
I think it's partly luck. I think it's partly that they're very clear in their expectations of each other. I think they're very clear in what their roles are. I think one of the fundamental problems in relationships in modern society is that no one has any idea what they're supposed to do anymore. Like no one knows what they're supposed to do.
Like what the relationship is in the first 6
With
months
anything, with anything.
It's very different than it is.
Because information has become a form of garbage. You know, I want to be disciplined with your children. Well, you need to be more empathetic with your children. Well, I want to be empathetic with my children. Well, you know, children need focus and direction. Like whatever you do, there is a chorus of people that will tell you you're doing it wrong. And they will pillory you. I guarantee, whatever this video does, read the comments. Guarantee 50 people said I got 50 things wrong. There's like 30,000 comments in one of my first videos I did with you. And every single one of them is like some aspect of what it's not like that for me. Like, oh yes, like I meant every single person in the world. You have refuted my point by your perception of your existence. Like, that's insane. Like what I think we're not being honest about anymore is what do we expect of ourselves and each other? Like, what is our role? Why are we here? What do I serve in this relationship? Like, this relationship, Mark, this is easy. This is easy. Jim, I need you to come to this place and I want you to talk. Great, Mark, I'm going to come to this place and talk, and I guess you're going to be in charge of filming it? Yeah, so I don't have to bring a camera. No, and I don't have to bring microphones. No, and I don't have to rig the lights or anything. No, great. You know what's expected. I know what's expected. I can deliver, man. I can deliver, and then you can deliver, and everybody's happy. Look at that. We had a project. We did it together. This is why I'm more comfortable in my courtroom than I am in my living room. I know the goals in a courtroom. I know what's expected of me. Like in my living room, I'm not quite sure what's expected of me. Like I'm not quite sure what I'm supposed to be doing. I know the world's telling me I'm supposed to relax and that I shouldn't be working quite so much, but I'm really happy when I'm working. So could maybe the world just shut the fuck up and let me get back to work? Like, I don't know. But I really think in the relationships I've seen that are successful, people are honest with themselves about what they want. Like the husband in one of those relationships, he's one of my dearest friends. They've been married 30 years now. And he said to me, yeah, I told her when we were getting married, I wanted clean kitchen counters and a lot of sex. And he's like, everything else is negotiable, but that's what I wanted. And I was like, are you serious? That's like all, he's like, yeah, I told her like everything else is negotiable, but like those are the two things. I want clean counters and lots of sex. And I was like, in 30 years of marriage, he's like, oh yeah, she's delivered on that, 100%. She's delivered on that. And I think she had a list for him that was longer, but it had a lot to do with like being reliable, being fidelitous, like being, and he is all those things. And I don't mean that in a performative way. Like we all know guys who it's like, you know, they act like they're faithful and then you get them alone and they're like, oh yeah, this chick or that chick. This dude, you'd be out with him, there could be a million beautiful women around, all want to sleep with him. And he's like, yeah, for me, there's her. That's it. Like that's all he wants is her. And he's like into her. Like he's into her. And she's into him. And by the way, she's into him. Let me just point that back out too. She refers to him as her boyfriend. They've been married 30 years, 2 kids. And she still is like, my boyfriend's coming home. You know, he's been away for 4 days. Like she'll put on her Instagram, like, can't wait for my boyfriend to get home. And once a month, he takes her away someplace. Like, cause he travels a ton for work. He takes her away someplace, even just for a weekend. And like, he's like thrilled to be out with his girlfriend. Like, and there's a part of them that I think has figured out like the hack of like, yeah, be each other's boyfriend, be each other's girlfriend, like, and be each other's husband and wife, like whatever, however you want to define your roles, but like, just know what's expected of each other. Like, I see this all the time in like my employees, like they just want to know what's expected of them. They just want to know what's expected of them. And then when they don't meet it, I can say, hey, you knew what was expected of you. You didn't meet it, get your shit together. And they can go, okay, and they'll get it together. Like, but if you don't tell people what's expected of them and then you're disappointed that they didn't meet your expectations, like that's on you. That's on you. So I think the biggest core problem is the reason why I know so few happily married people who really have had their marriage add value to their life as opposed to drag, is that most people don't know what they want, and to the extent they know it, they don't know how to express it to another person.
If marriage is such a flawed concept, you know, why are so many people still following that
because
path?
We've been told to. I really think it's because we were told to. I think that it's peer pressure exerted by dead people. I think it's just tradition. That's all it is. It's been assumed. Like it's indelicate to say to some, like there are certain things that just don't make sense in our society, the way we look at them. And like if you just scratch the surface, as someone who argues for a living and is structuring arguments all the time, like this is a tangential example, but like whatever someone's position is, whether they're pro-choice or pro-life or whatever, against abortion or for abortion, like, I think we can all agree, right? Like, when I say to someone, well, why do you think it's okay to have an early term abortion? They go, oh, it's not a baby, it's a cluster of cells. It's a cluster of cells. It's not a baby, it's a cluster of cells. Okay, so if I meet a woman who wants to have a baby and she has a miscarriage early on, can I go, oh, come on, it's just a cluster of cells, don't worry about it? No, that'd be a horrible and mean thing to say, right? Because it's not just a cluster of cells, it's the idea of a baby, and this person was going to have a baby. Okay, now, is it the same as a baby? Like if someone lost a toddler? Oh my God, of course not. But is a miscarriage a real thing that's very difficult for? Of course, I imagine if you're excited to have a baby and you lose the baby, it's like you lost the promise of it, the prospect of it. Okay, guys, we can't have it both ways. It's a cluster of cells or it's not a cluster of cells. It's a baby or it's not a baby. Like we gotta at least be honest in our argument, And it's okay to say, by the way, that a baby's interests are not as important as an adult's interest. That's a value judgment we're allowed to make as a society. We've decided that pigs we eat and dogs we don't. Pigs are smarter than dogs. They're smarter than dogs. They have the same emotional life. Dogs are like number 14. Pigs are like number 4 in terms of intelligent species, but we eat them. And with no problem whatsoever, while we're still hugging our dogs and dressing them in socks, And again, just be honest. Just be honest about this. Marriage, I think it's the same thing. Let's just be honest. Why are you getting married? Because people fucking expect you to. That's why you're getting married. Why are you getting married? Because the person you're with has decided they want to get married and you don't want to lose them. You're scared. Why? Because you haven't accepted the fact that there are 8 billion other people that you could be with than that person. And you're like, no, but this is my person. I just happened to meet them 2 blocks from where I live. Out of the 8 billion choices, this is the only one that I could ever love. If that's true, that is the most amazing coincidence in the world. That's fascinating. 8 billion people, and the one who's your soulmate, gifted by God, happened to work at the same building as you. That's amazing. What are the odds? Because again, we're just not being honest. We're saying, look, we've got this person, we want to sleep with them, we want to have fun with them, we want to keep them happy. And now we're afraid of them not being happy because their unhappiness makes us feel less than worthy, or it reminds us of our parents when they were mad at us, or it brings up some emotional shit for us. I don't know, I'm not a therapist, but I'm telling you, this is just our shit. It's just our shit. We just get on the ride, and then it's and we know it's going to drop, but we're like, oh no, this is the ride. I'm in the ride now. I can't get out of the ride, but you can get out of the ride. You can get out of the ride. You don't have to do it this way. We do it any way we want to do it, guys. We made this shit up. Marriage is something we made up. It's a state institution. That's it. It's a legal status. It's illegal. You can tell people you're married and never get married. No one's gonna check the paperwork. When's the last time you went to a wedding? At the end of the wedding, did you go, okay, can I see the paperwork now? Can I see the marriage license? Never. Not once in your life. Your parents, did you check their marriage license? Are you sure they were married? No. You assume that they're married, right? Because people tell you they're married, you assume that they're married. So fuck it. Tell people you're married, but don't legally get married. I don't care.
Is a poor man basically an obsolete Betamax?
Poor men are just screwed right now. Because I don't know a lot of women that are willing to invest anymore in a poor man. They don't really have to. I mean, this is why the dating app thing is so broken. And this is why guys like Mike are out there trying to say to guys that's why I think it's not a trick. It's about okay, I have to emphasize the right things. And the things you have to emphasize is either what you have or what you're going to have someday. Because I don't know a lot of women, I don't know a lot of young, successful, attractive women that are interested in marrying a guy who's not successful. There are a lot of women, the number, I am 53 years old, and the number of women in their 20s and 30s sliding into my DMs is ridiculous. They should be dating my sons, not me. And I would have no interest in dating them. Because that's just not, that's an incredibly young person. That's like the girl who was in the, winter, spring, summer, fall pageant with my kid. So for me, I have an issue with that. For me, again, whatever people want to do, I don't care. As long as it doesn't scare the horses, knock yourself the fuck out. But the reality is, I understand the appeal of those women. They're beautiful. I understand what they want about me. I have money. I'm successful. I'm semi-famous. I get it. But, what chance does like a young guy who's on the come up, maybe? Like, because here's what I'll tell you, man. 26-year-old Jim Sexton, this wasn't his fate. This wasn't his fate. This wasn't, I was a dorky guy, man. I was not successful. I was academic. I wasn't particularly good looking. I was awkward. Like, I was not as sure of speech. I was not as confident as I am now. And I'm very blessed. I had a couple of people and a couple of women in my life who saw something in me and were like, no, you got it. You got it. It's why I have tremendous affection still for my ex-wife, for my first girlfriend, Nina, who I actually was texting with the other day. I have a lot of affection for the women in my life throughout the chapters of my life, because I realized that they all did something that helped my confidence, and that confidence helped me build the success that I have. But they were smart enough to like invest early on. Like everybody's buying Facebook stock now, gang. Buying it in the early 2000s, that's impressive. You know, like buying stock in Jim Sexton when he was 26 years old, that's a smart investment move. Buying stock in me now, you know how much fucking expensive the shares would be now? Like, you can't afford them, sorry. What, are you attractive? Oh, okay, sure, absolutely. Let me give you half my share. Are you crazy? Are you crazy? You know, no. Like, no. And a lot of men who are very successful, that's the approach that they're gonna have, is they're gonna be like, why would I do that? Why would I sign on for that arrangement? Again, unless what this person brings is a tremendous amount of value to my life. I think that that's a very, it has to be a real tangible thing. But yeah, I feel very badly right now for poor men, because I think that, or men who are on their way up, you know, I think the game is kind of rigged against them right now. And by the time women start to go, okay, I'll settle for someone who's not 6'3" and makes six figures, a lot of those guys are like, yeah, I'm not interested now, you know? And they also realize they're being settled for, and that's not probably a good feeling for anyone to have.
Let's talk a bit about the impact of sex work on marriage and divorce.
You know, I have a lot of thoughts on this. I mean, sex work in general, I think, is becoming much more acceptable within our cultural zeitgeist, whether it's OnlyFans or whether it's actual like sex work prostitution. You know, there are cultures like Brazil where you have legal brothels, basically just like a strip club, and one floor is like a strip club, except then you can pick one or two or three women and go upstairs and enjoy yourself with them. And this is not considered like something like degenerate men do. This is something men do. And this is something married men very often do. There's even a joke in Brazil that it's referred to as, I have to stop at my cousin's house on the way home from work. You know, they call the brothels my cousin's house. And I'd be interested to see what effect it has on marriage. I actually think that it may be a mechanism by which people can delegate that aspect of their relationship. Because I think sometimes, you know, men like shiny objects, and having an outlet for that, like having the ability to go and, you know, have like a beautiful woman. I mean, why do you think strip clubs are popular? You know, it's you have a beautiful woman who's going to pretend that she finds you interesting and attractive, and you're going to give her money in exchange for that. I get that, but it fails because, you know, it's like, okay, but you're going to have that and then you don't actually get to execute on it in any way. So that's not, so I think brothels, you know, help solve that problem. I think the corollary to that, though, is, so I think it could be helpful to marriage in the sense that it might satisfy that male craving for, you know, some bright, shiny additional object, and keep the eye on the ball of the person I'm married to is the person I'm dedicated to, building a life with, building a family with, and this is like the bright, shiny thing instead of having an affair, which I think can be very toxic and destructive in relationships. So I think that would be helpful. The downside, I think, would be is a lot of successful men with money that now in the current dating marketplace are the men that women are interested in. It would be too easy for those men to go, well, why would I buy a woman when I could just buy a bunch of women? I could rent a bunch of women. Like, why would I buy a woman long term whose beauty is going to depreciate in value when I could just continue to rent women for an extended period? And there's already some version of this happening out there. It's just not being honest. It's not called sex work. But like, if a guy like me said to a young, beautiful woman, like, hey, let's go away to the Maldives for a weekend, like, and just enjoy ourselves and just have some fun together. Like, what you're really doing is saying, I'm buying this person's companionship for the weekend, and they're buying an experience, and they're trading their sexuality and companionship for my resources that are going to make that trip possible. And we're both getting value from it. I don't think that there's anything wrong with that transaction as long as it's an honest transaction between two people. If this person thinks, oh yeah, she wants to go away with me because she thinks I'm wonderful and charming, you're lying to yourself. And if she thinks that, oh, he wants to take me away because he just wants me to have enriching cultural experiences, it's not because I'm beautiful or he wants to have sex with me, you're being delusional. So I think everybody has to be honest about the economy. There is something incredibly honest about sex work. There's something honest about, like, why are you on my OnlyFans? Because I'd like to see you naked. Like, that's something very honest about that. And I like relationships where people know what is expected of them and they're allowed to say out loud what they expect of you. And I think everyone does better in that game. Everyone does better in the game when you know what the rules are, what the pieces on the board are, and how they're supposed to interact with each other. And the problem I have in modern society, and it's given me great job security, is that people just don't want to say out loud what's really going on out there. And if you do it, you're accused of being misogynist or misandrist or a pessimist or not romantic or whatever, or jaded or any number of other things. But I think that is such an oversimplification. Like, I think that it does not, you do not have to, like, you can know what the stars are and still find them beautiful. Like, you can know every single person you love is going to die and you're going to die, and in 200 years, no one will remember your name or care about almost anything you did. That does not mean life is pointless. Like, the purpose of dancing is not to move from one point on the floor to the other. The purpose of dancing is to dance. Like, the purpose of love is to love. Like, the purpose of love is to love. I don't believe it's to create a legacy or to carry my genes forward or because Jesus wants me to do it or Muhammad. Like, I don't think it has anything to do with that. I think it's to experience the joy of that. And that's a beautiful thing. But to say that being honest and pragmatic about the rule set that comes with that and the potential consequences that arise from it, that somehow negates the romance, that's bullshit. It's absolute bullshit.
I find it interesting sometimes. There are certain, and this applies to men as well as women, but let's look at women first. There are certain women who dress for other women. And then there are other women who seem to understand how to dress for a man. Yeah. And it's a
I think women
difference.
Primarily dress for other women, in my experience.
Yeah, but I've known some women who know how to dress for a man.
Yeah.
It's unbelievable.
Yeah, it's a completely different mindset. And it's a very effective thing when it's weaponized the right way. Like, I've always said there are haircuts women get because other women will think their haircut's cute. And those women don't care what men are going to think of their haircut. But then there are women that, like, get a haircut that they know a man's going to like, and who gives a shit what the women are going to think of it. And again, there are two different ways to live your life. I don't care, but I think, that there is a tremendous power if you are a heterosexual person. There is tremendous power in knowing what the other side actually wants. Because sometimes they don't even know what they actually want. Like, sometimes we don't even know what it is that we find attractive about a woman. She does, but we don't. Like, I don't know how the magic is made. I don't know that I want to know how the magic is made. Like, I don't want to, like, I remember the first time I saw, like, oh, here's how we made this scene in the Avengers. I'm like, I don't want to fucking know. Like, I want the magic of it. It's the same thing. I don't want to watch you put on your makeup. Fuck that. let me see the finished product. I don't want to watch how the thing is done. That's not fun. Like, it's interesting, I guess, but, like, I want to see the finished product, Like, and I think that's okay, I think, like, if I came home every day and, like, talked about, like, all the things I had to do to make the money that I make, like, I'm an asshole. Like, I think it's great. I try to make it look effortless to everyone in my life. I'm like, yeah, it's great, whatever. Listen, I've done worse shit for less money. Like, because why? There's nothing enjoyable about listening to someone bitch about how hard their job is. Like, just shut up and do your job. Like, that's your lot in life. Do your job. Like, your job's going to be beautiful. Great, go be beautiful.
But what do you think the male side of that issue is?
I think men haven't figured out. First of all, I don't think men have a lot of occasion to talk to other men about what women want, because I think other men don't know. And I don't think we have a lot of spaces to talk to women about what women really want. Because a lot of the women in our lives are women we're either in relationships with or potentially going to be in relationships with. Like, I learned a lot about women at a very early age because I have a sister who's 6 years older than me. And I'm very close with my sister. I always have been. So when I was 12, I was around, 18-year-old girls, tons of 18-year-old girls. Like, so I'm going through puberty and I'm around my sister and all of her friends, and they're all talking about guys and what they like and don't like. And I'm like learning, like I'm absorbing all of this. And so when I got to college, like I was incredibly comfortable talking to women. And a lot of my male friends were like, dude, how are you so comfortable talking to women? And I was like, what do you mean? How are you not comfortable talking to women? Like, it's easy to talk to women. Like, it's actually easier to talk to women than it is to talk to men in some ways, because they're super into like, emotional vocabulary, and they're sort of like talk about their feelings. If you just give them like a little prompt and say like, oh, so like what are you most scared of? Like, they'll go for 10 minutes if you let them on that. And by the way, you'll learn a lot about them in that interaction. So I think a lot of men, we just don't have those relationships. We don't have occasion. I think it would be a really great thing if men and women had more friendships with each other where we could tell each other how the sausage is made in an honest way. I just don't know that we get to do it. But the people that I know that have like a close friend, a legit close friend of the opposite sex, they have like a cheat code. You get a little bit of a Rosetta Stone about what the other side wants or the other person wants. I think women, in my experience, want your attention, and like they want your undivided attention. And I don't know if it's because that's the kind of attention they enjoy or if it makes them feel that they're worthy of it. I think that's a fair thing to be like, hey, I want to be worthy of your undivided attention. But I think that's fair. I think that's something that women want. I think women like praise. I mean, who doesn't like praise? But like, I think women in particular, like they take a lot of time, in my experience, to like curate things in a way that men maybe don't. Like that's why throw pillows were invented. It wasn't that like dudes were like, we need something to like fill the space. Like it really was like, like there's all these little nuances and things. And I think when you notice those things, I think women find that very appealing. So I think like learning what, and again, I don't think that has to be a chore. I think part of the joy of the dance of the sexes is like trying to figure out what makes us tick. But it shouldn't go in one direction. Like, I think that it's best when it goes in both directions.
Yeah,
like,
it seems like there's a lot of information that's just not being shared.
No, it's not being shared. And it's not being shared because I think, again, like we're all so afraid of saying the wrong thing that we don't say anything at all except a lot of banal, bland shit. Like, it's not surprising that I've become something of a celebrity by just saying this shit out loud. And I have plausible cover because I'm like, hey guys, don't shoot the messenger. I'm just reporting what I'm seeing in the front lines of divorce. But like, I'm saying stuff that people are like, yeah, that's real. Like, that's real. Like, point out something that's wrong that I said. I'm sure people will try, but like, knock yourself the fuck out. Like, because I think that this is true, and I think we all know it's true. And it's just, we're not gonna be able to do double blind studies of it, but this is true stuff. Like everyone I know is feeling really confused. They don't know what's expected of them. They don't know how to get what they want. They don't know how to ask for what they want. They don't know if they should want what they want. They don't know if how they feel is okay. And the answer, by the way, is it's totally okay to feel how you feel. You feel how you feel. Like, you feel how you feel. You can fucking apologize for your feelings all day long. You feel how you feel. Like, and I think we'd all, again, I've said it before, I think we live in an advertising saturated world. And I think advertising is the opposite of therapy. I think advertising, the core message of every single advertisement is you are not okay. You are not okay. You need something. If you had that, you might be okay or close to okay, but you are not okay. You will never hear in an advertisement, you're fine. You're fine just the way you are. You need another fucking watch. You don't need another car. You don't need to eat a burger at this place. You don't need to have a flatter butt. You don't need to have that. You don't need any of that shit. You're fine. You're good. You're good. Just like, you're worthy of love. Like, you're doing your best. That's it. Like, and I think that's what we all want. We just want somebody who is just going to look at us and say, like, you look great. You're beautiful. Like, you're beautiful. Like, whatever. You're beautiful when you try. You're beautiful when you don't try. Like, we all know that, though. Like, You know, it's so funny, like if we're being honest, I always say to guys, like, you know, I was talking about the difference between beautiful and hot, you know? Like we've all met a woman who's beautiful, but she's not hot. Like, and we've all met a woman who is like hot, but she wasn't beautiful, you know? And I think it's true of men too. Like there's guys that it's like, they're handsome, like John Hamm handsome, but they're not like hot, you know? Like they're not like, you know? And it's the same other way around. Like there's guys that it's like, this guy should not be as appealing as he is, but he is. Like Shane Gillis is dating like an absolute 10. And Shane Gillis looks like every dude from PA you ever met, you know? Like, and he'd be the first to say it. I don't think it's just because he has money. I think it's because he's like really funny and he's clearly really smart. And I think that women gauge things differently, you know? And I think for a woman, being successful and being funny, or being smart and being funny is even more important than wealth necessarily. It's certainly more important than good looks. Like men, we put a huge premium on looks, huge premium on looks. I have a client right now who's a model. And she's like one of those people, every time she comes into the office, it is like, it doesn't feel real. Like she's just stunning. Like I can't imagine she's like 6 feet tall, and like impossibly skinny, but still has amazing breasts. And she dresses beautifully and her skin is flawless. Her hair is flawless. And when I look at her, I like think like, my God, like she looks photoshopped. Like I can't imagine what it'd be like to just walk down the street looking like that. Like, cause you can't help but look at her. Like, and I'm not a man who like, I've never found models attractive. But like when I'm talking to her in a conference room, like I find myself like just like looking at her like in this way. Like I've even had like some male actors who are that attractive, and it's not like, oh, I want to sleep with them. You're just looking at them and you're like, Jesus Christ, like you look incredible. Like what is it like to wake up and look like that? You know, and I mean, there's value in that. It's a tremendous currency. It's a tremendous currency. And I think we could just be a little more honest about all of the aspects of what we bring to the economy of relationship. And I think if we did, my job would be a lot less lucrative.
What do you hope your legacy is after all the communication you're having on social media and
You know, I have to tell you something. I've never had the hubris of thinking that my life will mean much of anything. I mean, there are 8 billion people on the planet. Like, and I've never deluded myself into thinking like, well, I want to leave a legacy of art or what. Like, I don't really analyze it that way. Like, I love what I do. I love what I do because I'm really good at what I do. I'm better at this than I've ever been at anything. Like I'm better in a courtroom than I've ever been in anything. I'm better in a courtroom than I am in my living room. I have no idea what to do with myself in my living room. Like I literally sit there and kind of go like, all right, what am I supposed to do now? Because I know I'm supposed to relax, but I would feel a lot better if I took out my laptop. And I've spent a lot of time in therapy trying to figure out what that is. But I think it's partly that I think we all feel good when we're doing something we're really, really good at. And I'm really, really good at this. And so I would say that I've changed the trajectory of a lot of people's lives. There's something rewarding about that. Like I've got people custody of their children and now it's 25 years later and those children have like happy, good lives in part because of the work that I did. I've helped victims of domestic violence escape and extricate themselves from the cycle of coercive control and abuse. I mean, I've done some really amazing things in a courtroom. Like a courtroom is such a leveling field, you know, like, and you go in and it's just a battle of ideas in the purest way. But I've also helped some villainous people do villainous things. And I'm equally proud of both of those things to some degree because I represent the client, but I also represent the system. And I don't always believe in the client, but I always believe in the system. Like, and I think everyone deserves good representation, and I've become a very effective kind of representation. I've become a very effective weapon. So I guess my legacy, if any, I mean, the media stuff, you know, this was just something we stumbled into, right? I mean, I don't know. I was always a fan of this channel, and
it was a fluke.
It was a fluke. I mean, I like I said, I will always remember my assistant coming in and saying, "There's somebody named Mark from something like Soft Belly." And I was like, software and Underbelly? And I was like, you know, I pay the thing, you know, so I have the access I always had. And I was like, oh, I wouldn't think the Mark guy was like checking to make sure credit cards were accurate himself. Like, that's pretty wild. I thought it was a bigger channel than that. And I remember you said like, oh, I'm interested in interviewing the channel. And I think the first thing I said to you is, you know, I'm not a fentanyl addicted prostitute, right? And you said, yeah, no, I'm kind of branching out a little bit. But man, I had no idea what it would lead to. I mean, it blew up.
It's been the craziest blow up I've ever seen.
It's a crazy blow up, yeah. I mean, on the walk, you know, here from my apartment, 3 people stopped to take pictures with me. The weird part of it is, like, I represent a lot of celebrities. And so I've heard them complain about being celebrities, and I'm not at the level of celebrity that some of my clients are. Some of my clients are, you know, like they can't go anywhere without being inundated. But the thing that's interesting to them, like, you don't know Tom Cruise. You know the spy he plays. Like, someone wrote words on a page and he reads them, and he reads them really well, but you don't know Tom Cruise. Like, you know a little of him maybe from the news, but you don't know him. If you've watched everything I've said on this channel or on any of my conversations I've had, like, you met me. That's me. This isn't like a character I'm playing. This is me. So it's a very weird information disadvantage, because I'll meet somebody and, you know, I can't walk like 5 blocks in the city without a few people saying like, oh, you're that divorce lawyer. Or then now they know my name. They'll go, James. And then I think it's someone I must know. So I go like, yeah, how you doing? And then they're like, oh, I'm a big fan. I'm like, oh, cool. But I have to tell you, like, it's never been anything but lovely. Like, I will say that.
100%
it's never
of the
been
time.
100% of the time. 99.9% of the time it has been. It is usually, I actually laughingly said to my staff, I understand why some of my celebrity clients are assholes now. Because you're getting a barrage of affirmation, right? People are like, I love you, you're awesome. You're like, dude, I just walked out of the house and I'm being told I'm awesome. That's incredible. This is what it must be like to be an attractive woman. Like, it's incredible, you know? The one time it wasn't, I was in Vegas. I like to go to Vegas a couple of times a year just to play blackjack, unplug, and, you know, literally just go and play blackjack. I just enjoy it. I find blackjack is very meditative because you have to focus on what you're doing and kind of counting numbers, and you can't be worrying about or thinking about other things. And, you know, this was only a few months ago, I was in Vegas, and a lot of people had come up to me and been like, holy shit, you're that divorce lawyer, because most people in Vegas are drunk. So he was like, oh my God, you're great, I love you. And I was like, oh, thank you so much. I took some pictures of people, it was very nice. And I'm at a blackjack table and a guy walks over and he goes, excuse me, you're that divorce lawyer? And I said, yes, I'm Jim Sexton. What's your name? He said, Brian. I said, Brian, it's nice to meet you. And he goes, oh, I love your work. So I stepped back from the table, because I don't really like it if you're not paying attention on the table, even though I was the only person playing. And I stepped back from the table and I gave him like 5 minutes. And most people just want to like, oh, I love this, or I saw you on this and I like that you said this, and I'll chat for a few minutes and I'll go, well, listen, Brian, it was so nice to meet you. Thank you for taking the time to say hello to me. And then that's it, you know? Or they, oh, can I take a picture? Of course, we take a picture. Great to meet you. Thanks so much. Shake your hand, walk away. I did it with this guy, and then I went, well, I'm going to get back to playing now. It was great to meet you. I go back to try to play. He continues to stand next to me and try to talk to me while I'm trying to just play blackjack. And I'm trying to be polite, and I'm like, you know, I'm like, oh, yeah, well, listen, man, it was great to meet you. Thank you so much, you know, but I want to focus on this. And he just would not stop. So he stood there for like another 10 minutes. And finally, I just said, listen, I'm really sorry, man. I said, I'm really trying to just focus on playing. I don't want to lose a bunch of money for no reason. He was like, oh, all right. And he walked away. So he wasn't like offended, but that was literally the only time that it bothered me. Every other time, it's just a pleasure.
And, you know, it's what's weird about that, because I get some of the same, but not as much as you probably, is for every person that approaches you, there's probably 15 that don't approach you but recognize you.
Yeah. You know, the lesson for me is if you're gonna get virally famous, don't wear the outfit you wear 5 days a week. Like, because if I used to be that if I went out in like a sweatshirt and jeans, no one would recognize me. But if I had on anything that showed the tattoos, if I had on this, I was instantly recognizable. But this is what I'm wearing most of the time. Like, most of the time I'm wearing this, and most of the time I'm not wearing a jacket because it's warm in New York, so there's no reason to be wearing a jacket. So this is how I'm dressed most of the time. And so I'm just very recognizable, and but it's great. I mean, listen, I am not complaining about it. It is, unfortunately, a lot of people approach my practice now and would like me to work on their case, but they can't possibly afford me. And I'm still very selective about what cases I take. So I have to turn away a lot of business. A lot of my colleagues are grateful for it because I'm referring a lot of cases to colleagues who I trust and who I've had cases with. But if I could clone myself, I would have enough work for like 10 of me probably at this point, because a lot of people reach out now because of knowing who I am, and there are just so many people with family law issues. The funniest part, there was a lot of fucking people say to me, like, man, where were you 10 years ago when I got divorced? And the answer is I was practicing matrimonial law. Like, I don't know, you didn't fucking hire me. Like, I don't know what to tell you. Like, it's not, I was there. I've been doing this for a while. So, but yeah, I've got a lot of really nice feedback from it, and that means something to me. So I don't have a goal with it other than I enjoy these conversations. It's very funny. Some people I think find talking exhausting. And I mean, our first conversation, I don't know how many hours it was, but I felt like, oh, it had been a half an hour. And you were like, oh no, that was like 2 hours or whatever. And that was shocking to me, because after a good conversation, I feel invigorated. Like after this, I have a busy afternoon and I'll go to it very energized. Like this doesn't tire me at all.
Yeah, some people.
Yeah, some people it's the opposite.
Love to talk.
One of the most common human fears is public speaking.
Oh yeah,
which is bizarre to me.
I hate it.
Like there's nothing I'm more comfortable doing than speaking in public. Like 10 people, 10,000.
That's why you don't see me on camera sitting next to you.
Yeah, I just don't feel at all nervous about that. It's such a bizarre thing. And it's a shame too, because there are some people that they're just so brilliant. Like, and they have so much to say, and they don't have the instrument, And I want to like grab them and be like, oh, like the content is so good. Like you have just say it, like just let it out, but it's hard for people. I don't know how I think I was born with that. I think it was a gift I was born with.
Yeah. Seems to be. You mentioned the Greek chorus effect.
Yeah, I mean, I think this is one of the downsides of the internet as far as I'm concerned, is whatever dumb shit you believe, you're going to find a bunch of people that believe the same thing and that are willing to tell you you're right. Like I encounter this all the time in my professional practice. Like I can't tell you how many clients tell me like, well, I'm part of this group on Facebook that talks about like narcissistic men and narcissistic abuse and da-da-da-da. I'm like, oh my God, like this is like a room full of just gassed up women all just feeding each other and convincing each other. It's like hanging out at a bar with like a room full of alcoholics all drinking in the middle of the day at the bar, and someone being like, I think you're an alcoholic. And you're like, what are you talking about? I don't drink any more than any of these other people here. It's like, right, because they're all alcoholics. You're in the wrong fucking room. Like, it's the same thing. Like, everybody can now find a room that's going to tell them whatever the fuck they want. Like, that's why, like, things like people say, like, oh, well, incels or whatever. Like, listen, if you go online and you're a lonely guy who's had, like, nothing but rejection from women, you will find a bunch of young men who are on the internet who've been and had nothing but rejection and pain from women. And we're going to fault them for having experienced that? Like we're going to say to them, like, you shouldn't have community? Of course they have community. But what's the value of that community if all you're going to do is gas each other up and convince each other about a worldview that, is ultimately going to be toxic to you? And it's the same problem with there's just become now this Greek chorus concept where whatever you're doing, in this hand, there is a device that will inundate you with people agreeing with you. And so how does that not become a form of mental illness as a society? And how does that not take our worst and basest ideas and metastasize it? How does it not get us gassed up on our own bullshit? If you can find that many people that'll agree with you, I think it has tremendous detriment, in society. And again, we love taking sides. We love taking sides. We love it. I see it in divorce all the time. People are like, well, I thought her sister was going to be on my side, but now her sister's on her side. And, oh, I thought this neighbor was going to be on my side, but now this person's on that. And meanwhile, even I had one of the friendliest divorces in the history of divorce. And there were people that were like, well, we're kind of on her side. I'm like, what fucking side? When did this become a thing where there was sides? There wasn't sides. This is, you don't have to pick a side. It's not like I'm saying I need you to swear an oath that you're on Team Jim. It's ridiculous. But we're a tribal people, and listen, politics has always been the systematic organization of human hatred. And I think the internet has brought that to a whole new art form where we can find people who agree with us. By the way, you can just as easily find people who disagree with you, but nobody's looking for that. That doesn't feel good. That doesn't feel good at all. It sticks. It sticks. I will tell you, when when this first video of ours went, crazy, and all of a sudden people knew who I was, and there was tens of thousands of comments. I read a few of them and I was reminded, yeah, don't ever do that. I think Lex actually told me, don't ever do that. Huberman told me to, don't ever do it. He was like, do not read the comments. Because you can read 1,000 comments that say, this is the best, Jim's the best, you're the most brilliant, wonderful, charming, handsome person in the whole wide world. And you don't feel it. And you'll have one comment that's like, this guy's a fucking idiot. And you're like, that's the only one you feel. It's the only one you feel. And that's why all my celebrity clients, like they're like, well, I don't read the reviews. Yeah, they do. Yeah, they do. They're fucking miserable. They read the reviews incessantly. Like nobody becomes an actor because they don't care what people think about them. Like that's insane. That's ridiculous. Like no one becomes a musician because they're like, oh, it's just for the love of the music. No, it isn't. You just fucking write music and play it then. Like you don't become an author because you love to write. You write because you love to write. You become an author because you want people to pay you for your writing and you want to identify to the world as an author. Like, and again, let's just be honest about it, folks. Let's just be honest about what's important to us and what value we find in it.
Jim, I'll say it again. I think you're a national treasure.
Oh, thanks, man. Thanks, man. I appreciate it. It's always good to see you.
Another amazing talk.
Thanks, brother.
All right, man. Thank you.
When I was designing the first Soft White Underbelly book, I realized that there were so many great portraits that weren't going to make it into that book. They just wouldn't fit. And once I saw how well that first book sold, I knew I'd have to design a second book. This second book is finally ready to ship. Like the first one, this book has a collection of some of the best portraits from Soft White Underbelly, accompanied by a quote from that person's interview. This book features another group of Rebecca portraits, as well as a collection of color images of the Whitaker family, and plenty of others. You can order yours for $125 or $150 for a signed copy at softwhiteunderbelly.org. Again, like the first book, once this book is sold out, I will not be printing more of them. The portraits are what Soft White Underbelly is all about, and these two books contain the best of all that work. Thank you for watching.